Welcome to Lesson 20. In Lesson 20, we'll talk about two of the 39 malachos of Shabbos, or the prohibited acts on Shabbos. The malacha of kosher, one is not allowed to tie a knot on Shabbos. Umatir, one is not allowed to untie that type of knot that you may not tie on Shabbos. As we will give examples and we'll see, does that mean that I'm not allowed to tie my shoes on Shabbos? Does that mean that I'm not allowed to tie the belt on my robe on Shabbos? Stay tuned and we'll show which knots you may tie, which knots are not permissible to be tied on Shabbos. When discussing the malacha of kosher, the definition that's given by the rabbis is kesher shel kayoma, a permanent knot. And with the different opinions that there are in the earlier poskim, what's called a kesher shel kayoma, what knot is prohibited to tie according to Torah law, which knot is prohibited to tie rabbinically, and which knot is permissible to be tied, there are a lot of different opinions. The goal of this lesson is to just get past all of the different opinions and practically, what should a person do in their home on Shabbos? What should you do to avoid the prohibition of kosher and matir? And what is the practical halacha? So let's start with examples of knots that you may tie on Shabbos. A slip knot, a knot that could be undone just by pulling one end, may be tied on Shabbos. So if, for example, on your Shabbos table you had challah, after the meal is over, you have some challah rolls or some slices of challah that are left and you want to put them into a plastic bag. So you take a plastic bag, put the challah into the bag, obviously, and this is what you may do. You are allowed to tie a slip knot. A slip knot like this. It could stay, it will keep the challah rolls fresh, but if you want to untie it, all you have to do is pull the end, and it's undone. That you may do on Shabbos. Similar but prohibited is to tie the knot into itself, like this. Oh, this, I can't just easily pull an end and take it out. I have to undo the knot that I made. This should not be done on Shabbos. A slip knot is okay. Just pull the end and it'll come out. It's not a knot, not a prohibited knot. This is should not be done on Shabbos. On Friday, I went shopping. I bought tomatoes. I came to the register. The woman that was weighing them tied the bag into that single knot that I said you shouldn't make on Shabbos. Most people, when they're unpacking their groceries, easier than untying this would be to tear open the bag on Shabbos, tear open the bag. So this knot is probably not going to be undone. It takes on an air of permanence. It might be called a kesher shel kayoma. So if on Shabbos you take these tomatoes and you want to eat them on Shabbos, don't undo the knot. Tear the bag and take the tomatoes out. Take the tomatoes out. You're not untying the knot. You're getting your tomatoes. That is okay. Tying the knot like this, the single knot tied in itself is prohibited. There's another knot that you're allowed to make on Shabbos, even though it's defined as a knot, but since it's made to be undone right away, and it's not durable, it's not as strongly tied, it's okay. You put on your robe on Shabbos, you take the belt and you want to tie it once, that's okay, it's not going to hold. If you want to tie it a second time, you're going for a walk, you're going to shul on Shabbos, you take your coat, you put on your coat, there's a belt. Tie it once, it's okay. You want to tie it a second time. This is a double knot. You're not supposed to make a double knot on Shabbos. However, I'm going to take this off as soon as I reach my destination. I'm going to get to shul, I'm going to take off my belt. I'm going to take off the coat, I'm going to untie the belt. It's not made, I don't tie it tightly because I want it to be easy to untie. So it's tied loosely. It's made to be untied right away. Even though it's a knot on top of a knot, it's a double knot, which usually is a no-no. I'm allowed to do this on my robe. I'm allowed to do this on my coat. It's done loosely. It's made to be undone right away. I'm allowed to do this on Shabbos. Now, let us go to some things that should be avoided on Shabbos. Okay? What do I do when I want to tie my shoes? So, most people, they tie their shoes when they put them on, and they untie their shoes when they take them off. Not a kesher shel kayama. There's no permanence to that tie. So, you tie your shoes. How do most people tie their shoes, and what may be done on Shabbos? Make a knot with a bow on top of it. So this is like a knot with a bow on top of it. It's made to be untied within 24 hours. No air of permanence. You're allowed to do this on Shabbos. When you take off your shoes at night when you're going to sleep, Shabbos afternoon, and you're taking a nap, you untie them. So again, this was a kesher she'eino shel kayama. It was a knot that was not made with permanence. You're allowed to tie it on Shabbos and untie it on Shabbos. What happens if you're the type of person who you're a little lazy? At night, you're too lazy to untie your shoes, so you slip your shoes off. And in the morning, you don't untie them, but you slip them on. If you make a knot, this knot is not made to be untied. You should not make this knot on Shabbos. If you make this knot, if your shoes get untied and you have to tie them, make sure that this time you're not lazy and you untie them. Because if you can do what you usually do, tie the knot, and then first untie it 3 weeks from now when it gets untied again, what you made was a knot with permanence that might be prohibited. You should not double the knot. That makes it much more permanent. However, it isn't so clear that this is something that's prohibited. It's made only to be temporary. So let's say Friday afternoon, you tied your children's shoes in a double knot like this. You didn't make it like this where it's easy to untie. You went like this on Friday afternoon. One knot, and you doubled the bow to make the bow into a double knot. And then Friday night, the kids are want to get undressed to go to sleep. My shoes don't come off. There's a double knot. I learned that you're not supposed to untie a double knot on Shabbos. Kids are crying, they can't go to sleep. In a place of tsar where there's it's going to hurt, there's pain, it's difficult, you can't get your shoes off because you tied them in a double knot, then in such a case, since it isn't clear that it's usher, you're even allowed to untie them, even though this was a knot that you shouldn't make. And usually a knot that you shouldn't make, you're not allowed to untie, because it isn't so clear that this is considered a permanent knot. It was made to be untied. In a place of difficulty, in a place of tsar, you'd be allowed to untie them. So again, when you're tying your shoes, l'chatchila, the way that you should do it, this is the way it should be done. A bow, a knot with a bow, untie them when you take them off. That is the correct way to tie and untie your shoes. I want to conclude with two different practical examples. When it comes to, say, taking garbage bags out of the garbage, you want to take them to the yard to put them in outside or whatever it might be. The garbage is full and you want to change the garbage bag. So you have to keep the same things in mind. You have a garbage bag that's full, you want to put it in an empty garbage bag. You take the garbage bag out. Now this garbage bag has drawstrings, right? So I pull the drawstrings, I tighten it. Now, what would you do before you take them out to the yard? You might tie them. What would you do during the week? You go like this and tie it again. That's a double knot. Now, you may not do this on Shabbos. On Shabbos, all you can do is go like this. Don't go any further. That would be making a kasher on Shabbos. This is not made to be untied. You're going to take this to the garbage pail and it's going to go to the yard, go to the street. The garbage men are going to take it. It's never going to be untied. This is a kasher that's made to stay. Don't make it into a way that there's a double knot or even a bow on top that has some permanence to it. Same thing, which is much more difficult because it doesn't work as well when you have garbage bags that don't have a drawstring. So if the garbage bag is full and you just tie it into itself. All you could do is go like this. Now this isn't really going to stay closed if someone knocks into it. But anything more than this, to go further like that, or even to tie it in a bow on top, is tying a knot that's made not to be undone. It has an air of permanence to it. You should not do this on Shabbos. What is the way that you should tie your garbage bag on Shabbos? And I point this out because I see this in Shul and Kiddush, when people are cleaning up after Kiddush, they have to fill garbage bags and they want to put the garbage bags on the side. So the natural instinct is to tie it in a double knot. Don't do that. Tie it once, put it on the side, and this way you have not desecrated Shabbos. One final example, which is not very well known. Man comes to Shul on Shabbos, takes his talus, checks the strings of his talus. Well, look, so the strings are all intact like they're supposed to be, but look, the knots over here are loose. The natural instinct is to tighten it. Just as you're not allowed to tie a knot on Shabbos, you're not allowed to tighten a knot on Shabbos. So if your knot is loose, leave it this way. Your tzitzis are kosher the way it is. You have enough knots here, this knot is still tied, it's okay. But don't go like that. That would be tightening the knot. Tightening a knot on Shabbos is the same thing as securing the knot, is the same thing as making the knot. Another thing, look at this. I don't know if you can see it, but this string is frayed. And as it gets unspun when it's frayed, it's as if this part of the tzitzis isn't here. So these tzitzis are considered shorter. If you don't do anything about this, this is going to continue spreading and it's going to fray all the way at the end, as if you'll lose this string. So during the week, what you should do is tie a little knot over here like this, and it'll stop the fraying. It won't spread. Don't do this on Shabbos. On Shabbos, this would be making a kesher. It's a little knot over here that's made to remain permanently. It's a kesher shel kayama. It's at least prohibited rabbinically for sure. Don't do this on Shabbos. In the merit of our observing these laws of Shabbos, knowing what to tie and what not to tie, how to tie and how to untie, we should be zeicha to this that Chazal say, that when Klal Yisrael keeps Shabbos, two Shabbos in a row, will merit the coming of Mashiach. We should be zeicha to be as Chayil Tzedek b'meher v'yameinu. Amen.